Now that we understand what MongoDB is and where it lives inside of our application architecture, we are now going to go ahead and get it all set up on our Windows machine. Right here I've got myself a clean Windows installation running as a virtual machine on my Mac. So we're going to run through how we install MongoDB as well as MongoDB Compass, which is it's our separate tool that allows us to explore our MongoDB server and look to see at all of our databases without writing an application to do that to begin with. So it's really a way to look into our database and see how everything's running as we're developing against a database on our machine. So we're going to need those two utilities installed on our computer. So to start out with, let's go ahead and open up a browser and let's look for MongoDB. Right here we've got MongoDB right here. And we, of course, are going to want to install MongoDB. So we're going to go ahead and click on Products. Now, one thing you might notice here is there are different versions of MongoDB. There is a version that is production, or a paid version, that is going to cost money if you're trying to use it if you want like really high-end support for your MongoDB. And then there is another version which is more of a community installation or a community version of MongoDB that you can run on your computer locally. It doesn't cost you extra money. So look, when you get up here, or we did the search right here, and I was talking while we did the search, but if you do a search for MongoDB, you should see a download option under the www.mongodb.com. Click on download. And right here you'll see there's the cloud, which is MongoDB Atlas. Now that is a good platform for developing against as well as eventually deploying your production database against, because it's a cloud provider of MongoDB, provides you awesome runtime and all kinds of features as well as scalability, and it's all run on the cloud. But for local development, when we're building our applications, we don't necessarily want to require an internet connection. That way we can still work on our applications and still develop. If we don't have an internet connection, if we're sitting on a plane, or if the internet goes down and we're programming, we don't want to have to worry about having an internet connection. So for that, we want to install MongoDB locally on our machine and let it be running as a service on our machine. So we're going to go ahead and click on the server right here instead of cloud. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure that we've got the right version. So we've got 4.2.1, which is the current release, Windows 64-bit, which is what I'm running, and then the MSI installation package. So go ahead and click on download. And then we're going to go ahead and download this version right here. So I'm not going to click run because it's a pretty big package. I'm just going to go ahead and save it to my downloads folder and let it go ahead and download to my computer. And then once it's done downloading, I'm going to go ahead and run it when I'm ready for that. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back to the page I was on before. And over here, I'm going to look at Tools. And I want to go to Compass right here. And Compass, like I said, is that utility for connecting to your MongoDB, the running server instance on your machine, and then being able to connect to it and then look at the databases in there and view any data that you are putting in there through an application. It really comes in handy when we are first building our application, and maybe we're building an API, we're testing against that API, and we need to actually see that data is going into the database, and we don't yet have a user interface built. We can use this to get into the database to look at things. So we're going to go ahead and download the MSI installer again. Go ahead and save it to our downloads. Go ahead and click on View Downloads and see if my files are downloaded. So it looks like we had errors on both of those, that they didn't download. So let me go to my downloads folder. Oh no, they're right there. Looks like they downloaded. So we've got our Windows 32 64-bit, and then we've got our Compass 64-bit as well. So go ahead and double click on the MongoDB installer. And then we're just going to run through and allow it to just set all the defaults. We don't really need to mess with anything. We're going to go ahead and do a complete installation. And we do want it to run in all the defaults, and we do want it to run as a service so that we don't have to sit and start it all the time. So make sure that it is checked as install MongoDB as a service, and then run service as a network service user. And then let's go ahead and click next, and then go ahead and click next, and then click install. And then Windows may also ask you if you want to allow the install to happen. Yep, right here. Do you want it to change your device? Go ahead and click yes. And then we'll let it run through its installation of MongoDB. Once this one is done installing, we will then be moving into installing the Compass tool. And then once we have the Compass tool installed, we will verify that MongoDB is installed and running by trying to connect to the MongoDB using Compass. And that's how we'll verify that our MongoDB installation was successful, that we're able to connect to it, and that we can look at the databases in there. And to start off with, it'll only have some default databases set up. It won't have any custom ones. And then we can manually create databases using the MongoDB Compass, as well as creating collections and documents. But we haven't learned about collections or documents yet. Those are coming up in some upcoming screencasts, and then we'll be doing that in those screencasts. For now, we're just going to focus on getting everything set up and installed. Go ahead and give it a couple more minutes for installation. Again, it's a pretty big package. If you see, it's about 257.9 megabytes. And then, of course, that's with it compressed. So as it's installing, it's decompressing and installing all the services, installing all those files to the hard drive. It takes a minute or two for it to set up. Actually, if you've noticed, now that we're doing the installation, it looks like it's already installing Compass for us as part of the MongoDB installation. So the fact that we downloaded Compass as well might have been a surplus action. We probably didn't have to do that because it looks like Compass is being installed with or alongside MongoDB already for us. So once the installation completes, we'll double check and see if Compass ends up inside of our programs menu. All right, looks like it's finished, and it automatically launched Compass for us. So awesome, it took one of the steps out of the process. And we need to go ahead and, of course, agree to the community license. Make sure you go through this slide and look at everything. It shows you how to use the Mongo Compass utility. It's a really good little tool. I'm going to go ahead and X out of it. And then, yeah, I want them to be able to see when there's a crash, and I want it to do auto updates. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start Using. Now, because we just installed MongoDB locally, we're going to go ahead and set up a connection for it and then keep that connection. Now, because we used all the defaults, the port stays the same. So just kind of copy what's here already, and let's just say localhost, and then the port is 27017, so 27017. Go ahead and leave that. 27017, and then no authentication. It's our local database. We don't really have any authentication set up on it. So we'll go ahead and click connect on that. And if everything installed correctly, we should be connected to our local host. So here you can see we're connected to MongoDB Compass Community under localhost 27017. And there are 3 databases inside of our database already. There's the admin, config, and local. These are databases that are put in there automatically for MongoDB, so you don't want to mess with these at all. So then we can create a custom database right here if we wanted to, and I'll just call it let's use lowercase, my app. Let's just do test, my test database. And then we'll need an initial collection, so we'll just call it my first collection. I'll go ahead and click create. And now we have a database called my test database. If I click on it, I now have a collection called my first collection. And if I click on that collection, we can see in here that it does not yet have any documents. So nothing has been stored and no records have been made. And we will begin adding some records to this later on when we learn about documents and collections. For now, we have just installed MongoDB and Compass, and we know that everything's working because we can connect to the database. So we're going to go ahead and call this installation complete.